Today I'll be reading from 1 Peter chapter 4, starting at verse 12. This section is entitled Christian Suffering. Dear friends, don't be surprised when the fiery ordeal comes among you to test you as if something unusual were happening to you. Instead, rejoice as you share in the sufferings of Christ, so that you may also rejoice with great joy when his glory is revealed. If you are ridiculed for the name of Christ, you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory and of God rests on you. Let none of you suffer as a murderer, a thief, an evildoer, or a meddler. But if anyone suffers as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God in having that name. For the time has come for judgment to begin with God's household. And if it begins with us, what will the outcome be for those who disobey the gospel of God? And if a righteous person is saved with difficulty, what will become of the ungodly and the sinner? So then, let those who suffer according to God's will entrust themselves to a faithful Creator while doing what is good. So that gives me some hope in knowing that when I'm suffering through something, which in God's eyes, I don't think there's really any suffering, because he realizes that we have to go through some difficulties in order to realize some greater outcome, the cycle of life, and that when we believe in Jesus Christ, we ultimately will end up in heaven. So, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but then ultimately it ends up in an up. But for us, when we're going through those downs, I know for me, it's difficult sometimes to remember that there is going to be an up, whether it's an intermediate up or it's the ultimate up. So this passage helps me to remember that if I'm suffering while I'm doing something good, that God recognizes that, and he is with me, and it's okay. And if I'm doing something bad and suffering, then I know that God knows that as well, and I need to recognize that as quickly as possible and repent from it, and no longer do it, and admit that it's wrong, and promise that I'll not do it again. So that is today's reading. Thank you for listening, and let me know what your feelings are or experience are in relation to this reading.